your weekend? Did you spend part of the weekend worshiping in a local church? Maybe ours here at Trinity or somewhere else? I hope so. The fellowship in a community is so important. I enjoy this fellowship, and yet to be with others in person or otherwise is really important, especially on the subject we're dealing with, which is suffering and pain, and you don't want to do it alone. We've been going through the book of Job, and we've been looking at the issue of pain, moving from the question of why, because you're not going to get much of an answer, to who. Who is your trust in? I want to talk a little bit about the three friends of Job that try to offer help or comfort, and just come up with some concluding things we can learn from them. I talked about the value of relationships. Well, and this is the negative side of it. Job's three friends come. It's the bulk of the book, and they come to give wise counsel. The problem is it's not wise counsel. They've got all these formulas and these cliches, and they say it over and over and over again. Things like God is holy and he demands righteousness. If you would just repent, everything would be fine. Or all of your pain is just revealing how far you are from God. And ideas like that, all these platitudes that don't apply. The book wasn't about that. The book was about a righteous man suffering, and how could he live godly amidst that. So in all of that, just to give you a sense, in Job 13:5, he looks at his friends and he says, if only you would just shut up, for you that would be wisdom. So I just want to give some observations for us who are perhaps in the place to give advice, to give a few words, or to be with those. How about that's even better? Be with those that are suffering. I want to give three pieces of advice. The first one is, when you're comforting somebody, listen. Just listen to them. Hear what they have to say. Job's friends didn't do that, and in failing to do that, they failed to comfort him, and they failed to recognize that their words were not applying to him. So first of all, when comforting somebody, listen to them. Got it? Secondly, when comforting somebody, don't attempt to answer the question, why? Well, you know why this happened. It was because of, oh boy. Don't assume you have access to that answer. You probably know stories too of people that just said stuff they shouldn't have said. You know, at a funeral home, you don't know what to say. And, well, God just wanted your loved one in his presence instead of yours. I've heard people say that. Just be quiet. When you're going to comfort somebody, don't try to answer the question why. That's what Job's friends tried to do. They didn't know why. And even if you do know why, the answers don't necessarily comfort. Just listen. And don't try to answer why. And then thirdly, when comforting somebody, don't give pious platitudes and hollow cliches. These guys did it like crazy, and people do it all the time. And I know we do it sometimes just out of nervousness. Some years ago, when my wife was in the hospital for a while, I remember walking into her room one day, and she says, if somebody quotes Romans 8:28 to me one more time, I'm going to throw my bedpan at them. You know, Romans 8:28, all things work together for good to those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Great words, words of God's sovereign goodness, that things will work together for good according to his purposes, no matter how much you're suffering. True. But there's a time for that. And sometimes if someone's suffering in the hospital, that's not really the time for that. Tell people you're praying for them. Just tell them you love them, and just listen to them. Yeah, so Job's three friends are good examples for us how not to be when we are with somebody and trying to comfort somebody. I want you to hear Job's perspective in the midst of suffering, in the midst of all of this. It's hard, but it's a great eternal perspective. And with this, I close. Job says this. In the midst of all of this, hearing his friends, he finally speaks up and he says, I know that my Redeemer lives, and at the end he will stand on the dust. Some sort of foreshadowing of Christ. Even after my skin has been destroyed, yet I will see God in my flesh. I will see him myself. My eyes will look at him and not as a stranger. My heart longs within me. Great perspective Job would get. So all of this to say, keep on reading. If you're with those that are struggling or suffering, be a friend. Listen carefully. Listen to what they have to say. Don't try to give a bunch of answers. Presence is much more important than answers. I'll see you Thursday as we continue with the book of Job. If you're reading, we'll be talking about the place where God shows up and says, where were you? Okay, have a great day, and I'll see you on Thursday. So on.